And there's a couple of things I need to fix on this bike. This was sitting over here, and those spots right there are fork oil leaking out. So I'm going to replace the seals and the wipers. Secondly, I got to get to this little problem here. Normally I would use Yamaha seals and wipers, but I happen to have these parts. Don't even know where they came from. First, let's see how much oil will come out just by removing this screw. I know I need to pump the forks, but I'm going to have to get a helper for that. I think there's a little O-ring. This is brand new fluid. This bike has, I don't remember, 50 miles on it or something. So, oh, yep. Hoping to recover this fluid as much as possible. I'm going to have to get my helper. Put that screw back in, because if I walk away with the screw out, it'll probably decide to gush out of there on its own. Okay, I have my helper now. Let's see what happens.
Oh.
Oh!
Sorry. This seems like it's going to take forever. Well, maybe not.
So that's that. We'll repeat this on the other side after I clean up the mess. Down there.
Sorry.
The right side. Oh, there, I'll take...
Ew.
Oh, got me. Wipe my leg off. Okay,
So I helped.
You helped. I couldn't have done it without you. Next move is to get this bike off of this stand, put the rear wheel in the wheel chock. Next, get this front fender out of the way. Then a right side caliper. The left side caliper. This side we have this speedometer adapter for the COSO. The brake line. The caliper. Now we can get the bike onto the front stand. Nice. Next, we'll get this pesky front wheel off to loosen this axle lock nut. Pull this out so I can get up in there to loosen the bolts going up into the inner fork inners. One FZR front wheel. A long time ago I sacrificed an 8mm Allen wrench specifically for this job. I don't know if these are going to come undone with a ratchet. Yeah, I hear it spinning inside. Yep. Alright, reload. I have to put a bunch of adapters, 1/2 inch to 3/8, 3/8 to 1/4 inch, 8mm socket, and then the Allen wrench. Yep, comes right off. Success. At this point I've just loosened these bolts up. I'll remove them later when I have the forks out. Next I'm going to loosen the fork caps and the clip-ons. I'm hoping to keep the top triple clamp in place so I can keep all of this assembly here assembled, and I'm hoping I can get these forks to slide out, and then after I'm done with the seals, get them to slide back up in. Without disassembling all of this stuff. There's a lot of brackets and screws and spacers and washers involved in that. I put tape on these polished fork caps so I don't scratch them. I'm just going to get them most of the way out, so I don't have to do it when they're out on the bench. Next, loosen the clip-ons. Need to wiggle this guy, the loose clip-on, up and get it out of the way so I can get to this triple clamp bolt. One side. I realize you can't see that very well. I'm going to go do the other side. I need to lift this clip-on up and then loosen this upper triple clamp. Next, I need to loosen these headlamp ears. I'm not going to videotape that. They're a little tricky to get to. Then we just have these two, and theoretically these forks are going to slide out. I'm going to loosen this lower triple clamp bolt and see if I can get this right side fork tube to slide out. I put some Sharpie marks here so I know how far to stuff these things back up. My shims are coming out. Oh, there goes that guy. Guess that should have been expected. I gotta tie this up somehow. Left side. Not so sure I'm going to be able to finish this because here's the seal that came out. This all-ball seal is much thicker. It's got a dual spring system, which may be good, but I don't know if it's going to fit in there. It's quite a difference. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this all-ball seal. There's no room for the washer and the clip. Darn it. That kind of sucks. Those seals will not work. I'm going to have to go order some. So we'll come back another day when the seals come in and finish this up. Looks like it's been about a month since I started this fork seal project. And I'm making progress now, finally. I did order some Yamaha fork seals. But I'm finding some interesting things as I took the first fork leg apart. This is the seal that came out, and I initially had tried to put these all-ball seals in there. Here's what's going on. This right here is the seal that came out of the forks that was leaking. This seal is the all-balls one that came in this little kit. This is the Yamaha one. You can see that the all balls in the Yamaha one, really the main part of the seal is about the same thickness. So I was a little concerned I was going to have a problem with the Yamaha seals also. So this seal that came out when I took the first fork apart, it had this additional spacer on the top, spacer washer, which really makes it about the same thickness as this all-balls one. So the reason I was failing with the all-ball seal, I think, was because I was trying to use that washer on top also, and I could never get the seal down far enough to get the snap ring in place. I went to the parts diagram, and here's the washer that goes under the seal. Here's the seal. There is no washer that goes on top. The next part is a snap ring. So I was trying to do something that couldn't be done. That's one interesting thing on the fork assembly as received from the previous owner. The other thing was, I've put one fork leg back together. There was two copper sealing washers on the bolt in the bottom. I don't know why. So it just goes to show you, you never know what you get from these previous owners. So I believe these FZR 600 fork seals will work without trying to add this part, this washer on top. So I'll save them for next time. Time to disassemble this second fork leg. Pull this dust seal off. the washer on top of the spring. The spring is pretty dry because it's been draining for a month. You can see there is a spring clip in here that needs to come out. And this fork leg has the extra washer in here, just like the first one did. Come out like that. And by the way, this thing is aluminum. This is not a Yamaha, well, it might be a Yamaha part. Sure fits in there nice. Looks like something that should have been in there, but it's not. Thanks, previous owner. We appreciate that. Do I have the screw out? I still have the screw in the bottom of the fork leg in there. Now, I can slide hammer this business out. Here's the leaky fork seal. Another thin one, like what came out of the other fork leg. At least they were consistent and put the wrong seal in both of them. And there we go. The next thing I'll do is clean the snap ring groove out a little bit. Just wiping off the surface where the oil seal will be seated in here. No, this one has one. It's really weird. The other one had two of these washers. Very strange. Here's what's inside of these forks. This spring and rod goes inside the tube, and the threaded end here, it's secured by the bolt. So, looks like that. I'm going to have to knock that bushing in there down a little bit to get the seal in there. I'll put this washer back on the tube. Use my seal driver to knock that bushing. Now I can get the fork seal in there. And here's the fork seal. I put just a little dab of fork oil on the inner part of the seal. The seal can go on the fork tube. Get my fork seal driver. Should we put the extra part back in there? No, let's not do that. Now the clip can go on. Looks like it's seated all the way around nicely. The dust seal. Put the bolt in the bottom, making sure I have the copper sealing washer on there. So you have quite a contraption here. Wow. Time for fork oil. So the spec on the volume on each fork leg is 101 millimeters measured from the top of the fork down here with the fork compressed. This guy I set for 111 millimeters. I'm going to bring the oil up until I use this as a dipstick to 10 millimeters. This is the oil I removed out of these forks, barely been used. Aha! Uh-oh. Might have overfilled it. Check the oil, sir. Oh yeah. it's 10 millimeters too high. Actually, I'm going to pump the forks a little bit again, see if it goes down. To add a teeny bit. Oh, perfect. That's good. 101 millimeters. That's pretty good. I think I'll exercise them a little bit more, make sure that they're still at 101 millimeters. We have the prescribed 101 millimeters of fork oil in each fork. It gets a spring. The washer has to go on top of the spring. I'll have to tighten that up full tight after it's secured in the triple clamps. Put the other one together and I can reassemble the motorcycle. This fork leg went right back up in there. Hope this one goes right back up in there also. Why wouldn't it? What could possibly go wrong? Nice. I put little blue marks on the forks so I could get them set in the exact same position they were in before. Like so. I'll just snug one bolt for now. Put the wheel back on. Okay, looks like we have a rotating front wheel. I think I'll tighten up all the triple clamps, the clip-ons, and all that business, and then come down and finish all this up. I'm done with the fork seal job. I think it went pretty well. I'd say that I got off to a bit of a rough start because of the weird non-standard seals that came out. I got confused when I got these all-ball seals, which I think would in fact work, but I end up with these extra parts. One of these was on each side, and one side had an extra copper washer. But I think I'm good to go. There's not much else left to do on this bike. I should be careful. I just ordered a seat cover. Of course, paint needs to be done, and some carburetor tuning. And this guy will be considered done.